while we prepare for the launch of our longer-acting neuromodulator in both aesthetics and therapeutics. With that, I will now turn the call over to Toby to cover the first quarter financials.
Thanks, Mark. The earnings release we issued today outlines our financial results in full, so I'll touch on the highlights on this call. Total revenue was $13.3 million for the first quarter, which included $11.6 million in RHA Collection revenue, $1.5 million from our partnership with Viatris on the biosimilar to Botox, and $0.1 million from our HintMD fintech platform. As Dustin mentioned earlier, HintMD's processing volume run rate increased to over $400 million during the quarter. Revenue growth for the quarter lagged processing volume growth primarily because new practices received payment devices that were accounted for as a contra revenue. As we have indicated before, processing volume is the best way to measure the growth and performance of the HintMD platform. It is the leading indicator for both account penetration and account processing activity, which directly translates to our revenue potential. Turning to operating expenses. Selling, general, and administrative expenses for the first quarter 2021 were $49 million, reflecting sales and marketing expenses related to the RHA Collection of dermal fillers, pre-commercial activities for daxibotulinum and headcount-related expenses for HintMD. SG&A expenses include depreciation and amortization and stock-based compensation. Excluding these expenses, non-GAAP SG&A expenses were $40.8 million for the first quarter 2021. Research and development expenses for the first quarter 2021 totaled $27.3 million, reflecting costs related to clinical trials, regulatory support for ongoing biologics license application, and other developmental efforts. R&D expenses include depreciation and amortization and stock-based compensation. Excluding these expenses, non-GAAP R&D expenses were $23.5 million for the first quarter 2021. Total GAAP operating expenses were $83.3 million for the first quarter. Excluding stock-based compensation, depreciation and amortization, and cost of revenue, non-GAAP operating expenses were $64.2 million for the quarter. We continue to be in a strong financial position from a balance sheet perspective. Cash equivalents, and short-term investments as of March 31st, 2021, were $386.8 million, which we believe is sufficient to fund our operating plan into 2024. In terms of outlook, we are confirming our previously announced 2021 GAAP operating expenses of between $375 to $390 million and non-GAAP operating expenses between $270 to $285 million. We expect 2021 non-GAAP research and development expense, including HintMD, to be $95 to $105 million. Finally, Revance's shares outstanding as of April 27th, 2021 were approximately 71.5 million, with 66.5 million fully diluted shares, excluding the impact of convertible debt. And with that, I'll now turn the call back over to Mark.
Thank you, Toby. In closing, we delivered a strong start to the year in both our aesthetics and therapeutics franchises and believe we are well positioned for continued growth with a number of important upcoming catalysts. 2021 will be another pivotal year for Revance, and we look forward to updating all of you on the progress we are making on our key priorities throughout the year. Lastly, I want to take this opportunity to thank our team for their tireless commitment to the company and efforts in the support of each other. The COVID-19 pandemic has placed a tremendous strain on so many employees and their families, yet they have found a way to not only persevere, but successfully adapt to allow us to achieve our goals. With that, I will now open up the call for questions. Operator?
As a reminder, to ask a question, you will need to press *1, then the number 1 on your touchtone phone. We will pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. Your first question